In an interview, reporters are interviewing Mr. Salmon, the sole survivor of the giant mammoth killing that shocked the world. Mr. Salmon says that the beast was no ordinary mammoth, and that for its size, there were no other species that could stand against the mammoth. If it stays like that, after 2 years, 90% of the reserve will turn into a desert. Herbivores as well as carnivores may also go extinct. But closing those words, he says that the army did not spend any bullets to kill that mammoth. But a man appeared and defeated the mammoth. He defeated that monster without any weapons. The reporters immediately refuted his statement and thought that he was making up a story. Hearing that, Salmon walks away without saying another word to those reporters. When he gets home, his only consolation is his son. The boy still believes his father's story is completely true. He tells his son all he has seen about what the man did to defeat the giant mammoth. Meanwhile, the man's son was catching a mantis for training. That morning, a boy, because of his friend's challenge, enters high school by himself to challenge the strongest in this school. The scared boy goes inside, and when he sees the 3 bullies, he grimaces, pulls out a knife from his pocket, and demands a fight with the trio, making them laugh mockingly. Now the boy grimaces, asking to meet the strongest in this school, so the trio turns serious. After leaving school, the boy is immediately asked by his bullies if he is finished. The boy says that the trio asked him to meet the strongest man at the Tamar River this evening. If he breaks his promise, they are going to have a serious problem. So, the boys go to the Tamar River. In the evening, the strongest man appeared, and that was Baki. Baki gradually approaches. The boy also pulls out the knife, but under Baki's overwhelming pressure. The boy even thought that Baki was smaller than he imagined. But when Baki takes off his outerwear to reveal his hard muscles, he surprises the boy. And what's even more surprising is that Baki is so serious in this match that the boy realizes that in front of him is a battle monument, not an ordinary high school student. Baki suddenly vanishes, moves to the boy's side, and slaps the boy's buttocks, causing him to fall into the river. This was the boy's first shock, and it destroyed his dream of becoming a delinquent. But after slapping the boy's ass, Baki shakes hands with him and says that from now on, we will be friends. He tells the boy that he doesn't have to be afraid of the bullies because he already has a friend who is the strongest in the world. At this time, Captain Stridham comes to Baki to talk about how his father killed that mammoth. What that means is that Baki's father is sending a challenge to his own son. Baki says this is just a normal father-son quarrel. But Captain Stridham says that the fight between the two is related to the war between the two countries. Then Captain Stridham angrily leaves. That night, the boy asks Baki who he will look for to train, as he will fight the strongest man in the world. Baki says that he will create a random opponent himself for training. Then he begins to train in the technique of shadowboxing, which is the most basic technique of boxing practitioners. But Baki takes it to another level. He creates his own shadowboxing doll. In front of Baki, there seems to be an opponent fighting him. The boy senses that the doll in front of Baki is Iron Man Michael, who is the reigning world heavyweight boxing champion. At this moment, Baki is fighting like a real fighter, and he is knocked out and his nose is bleeding. Then Baki gently goes to kick Michael's neck to end the fight, making the other kids dumbfounded and asking why he gets scratched while practicing shadowboxing. Baki tells the boys to imagine sour apricots in his hands, causing their drool to flow out of excitement. That is the way to stimulate the brain to make something happen. Then the boy Zumi goes with Baki to his house. On the way back, Zumi sees drawings and inscriptions insulting Baki. Those were the people who couldn't defeat him, so they vented their anger with this trick. At the end of that street is Baki's house. After returning home, Baki begins to stretch to prepare for training in the evening and says that his worthy opponent for tonight is in this basement. After the two went down to the basement, Baki said that the opponent that could be stronger than the bear, the tiger, the lion, and even that mammoth is in front of him. Just as he finished speaking, Baki is knocked against the wall, and Zumi realizes that Baki's opponent this time is the mantis in the glass box. Baki thinks that insects are the ones that specialize in solo combat. In terms of strength compared to reality, the strength of a beetle is comparable to Zumi having to carry a 200-kilo person from home to school. The jumping power of fleas is like a person jumping over 10 floors. Meanwhile, the mantis is a warrior adept in combat and a top-class creature. Baki wants to use his heart and brain to imagine a 100-kilo mantis. The battle starts, and Baki shoots straight ahead, but is knocked back, surprising him. The mantis in front of him is slowly getting bigger, and the two sides start fighting each other. But now Baki is gripped by the mantis and can't move. He is blown to the wall. At this time, Zumi sees Baki's shadow boxing moves in a fanciful way, and gradually he sees Baki's opponent gradually appearing before his eyes. It is a mantis weighing 100 kilos. Although Baki's father had defeated a giant mammoth if it were the size of an insect, its fighting power would be only that of a caterpillar, while the mantis in front of him is an adept warrior. Baki jumps up to lock the mantis' neck, but unexpectedly it moves his claws back and pulls Baki forward. Baki kicks it in the face to escape, then dashes to attack the mantis. But when he squeezes to break its claws, it throws him forward, causing him to bang his head on the table. Even so, he still continues to fight. After analyzing its moves one at a time, he sees a weak point under the mantis' neck. Once upon a time, there was a monk who was going on a hunger strike when he encountered a scene where a sparrow was fighting a mantis. But surprisingly, that small insect defeated a much bigger bird. Since then, he has followed the movements of the mantis and created a new martial art called Tuken. Baki uses Tuken to fight the mantis. Baki transforms from two different species into two species that fight in a unique style. The two then continue their match, and in the end, Baki is gaining the upper hand, and his attacks are extremely accurate. He jumps up, hits the mantis head-on, and then breaks its neck. Baki is enjoying the fight, and then the overwhelming winner is Baki. The mantis he imagined was still there, still small at a wild hotel under a waterfall. Captain Stridham goes there to find Yujiro Hanma, Baki's father. Yujiro is swimming in the water upstream at 20 km/h and has been swimming there for hours. He emerges like a flying fish with a solid body. The two then go into a private room to talk about how Baki defeated the imaginary 100-kilo mantis, which was Baki's challenge to Yujiro. Yujiro heard that he laughs loudly and sternly, saying that such imaginary battles can't be compared with real battles. Today is the day the US president is being escorted to the parade when suddenly the cameras are turned off. When they turn back on, everyone suddenly discovers that the president had been kidnapped. According to the dash cam, the kidnapper was an Asian and brought the president inside a restaurant. The person who kidnapped the president is Baki. Baki intentionally kidnaps the president to ask the president for one thing, which is to put him in the Arizona State Prison in the US, because he knows that Biscuit Oliver is known as the muscle monster being held there. If the president refuses, Baki will immediately kill the president right here, causing the president to panic and accept the condition. The president then calls the bodyguards outside to deal with the situation. Very soon, Baki appeared in court and is sentenced to be detained at the Arizona State Prison, which has the highest density of guards in the United States. The prisoners held here all have strong muscles. After going through all the checks, Baki is brought to the prison chief for a chat. He is taken to Oliver's room. Surprisingly, in the prison, there is an extremely palatial room filled with precious wines that belong to Oliver. Oliveira enjoys his life here. While talking, Baki is impatient to attack Oliver, but Oliver doesn't care, which surprises Baki. Oliveira says that he will let Baki be in the same room as the second strongest prisoner. Baki is brought back to his cell when suddenly he is locked up with Iron Man. Michael, you thought he was the second strongest, but no, he wasn't even in the top 10. A man over 2 meters tall sleeping in a nearby bed surprises Baki. Baki thinks that he is Mr. Second, but the next morning, Baki is even more surprised when Mr. Second is sleeping in the broom closet. His name is Jun, and he comes out saying that a warrior can only lie down when he is dead. But Baki is also very confident and wants to beat him to become number 2 in this prison. At that moment, the warden comes to yell at all the prisoners to go out and gather. He gave orders while walking around to show his majesty to his prisoners, but only Jun is free to move around. Not only that, but he also gently takes a cigarette from the warden, surprising Baki. Even those who spoke to him were beaten by the prison guards, but Jun is very free in prison. When it is time to eat, he alone has a special meal. Not only that, but he also leisurely walked over to ask about the warden's new gun, causing him to panic. But power also goes hand in hand with envy. A large man is sitting in front of Jun and challenging him to a fight. He once beat a gang on the street, and in sumo, he never lost a battle from Japan to America. This time, he breaks his spoon in half to demonstrate his strength. But Mr. Second also shakes the spoon, causing it to deform, which makes the man angry and knock the table over at Jun. The guards are holding guns to subdue the man when Jun takes the gun from one of the guards to give it to the man and challenges him to shoot him in the head. Just as the man is about to pull the trigger, he kicks the man's crotch, causing him severe pain. The man is not satisfied with Jun's fighting style, so Jun accepts the man's challenge to a sumo match. They go to the sports hall to start the match. The 3 guards are also there to watch and act in case of trouble. Jun dashes to grab the man so that he can't lift him. Right now, he slaps the man's ear, causing him to have his senses destroyed. He then uses the hairs to attack the man's ear, disrupting his balance. The man falls down immediately. He wants to get up to continue fighting, but in this match, he lost. Jun smokes a cigarette and leaves while the man is executed by the guard. Jun has just left the room when he sees Baki waiting for him. While the two are talking, the guard comes over to force Baki to move, but Baki grabs the guard's iron rod and deforms it the same way Jun did with the spoon. This means Baki is sending a challenge to Mr. Second. He is then locked up with his fingers and put in a private room. That night, the old man secretly brings him some bread and soup. He tells Baki about Jun's story. It turns out that Jun was the president of an island in South America with a population of about 20,000. He was also a pirate and stole other luxury boats, but he realized that his island was too poor and lacked necessities. So he wanted to change the whole island. From a young age, he was trained in martial arts, and then he taught martial arts to his juniors so that they could resist attacks from outside without weapons. That day, when the President of the United States was discussing a plan to use bombs to destroy that island, a man appeared behind the president and ordered the guards to face the wall, or else he would break the president's neck. He was Lesson, who was Jun's junior. Then he played a live video that showed Jun standing in front of the president's house. He also reviewed every corner of the house as well as the president's wife and children, making him sweat all over. Even the bodyguards had been knocked down ever since. Jun wanted to remind the president that if he dared to touch his hometown, the president would pay by his family's life. Jun also goes to prison to fight Oliva just like Baki. The old man also admires a body that is invulnerable even to cancer cells. It is Baki's father. There are 3 people who are being monitored by the government in secret: Yujiro, Oliva, and finally Jun. Each of them is tracked by a satellite from above, and if the target moves faster than 4 km per hour, the other satellites will be forced to make an emergency maneuver to reposition the 3 of them. While the 2 are talking, a guard comes in to ask why they are talking privately. When the old man is explaining, the warden breaks his fingernails, and when he is about to break the old man's teeth, Baki kicks his hat off and says that torturing the old man will make his hair not grow. Hearing that, the angry warden wants to teach Baki a lesson, but he kicks him out into the hallway. Not accepting defeat, the warden continues to attack Baki with his iron rod, but Baki kicks him in the neck, causing him to slip and fall below. Seeing that, Baki rushes to hold the warden despite his fingers bleeding. At this point, Jun tells Baki to ignore him, and the warden can't hold on much longer, but Baki is still able to grab him and pull him up. After that incident, the warden had a different view of Baki. The next day is piling day for road construction, and with Baki's extremely good physique, he is far ahead of everyone. When it is time for the lunch break, he sits with Michael and chats with him. Michael says that after being released from prison, he will return to professional heavyweight, and he wants to win the championship next time to prove his strength to everyone. Meanwhile, the warden chief is accepting bribes from someone and wants to get rid of Michael so that he can't fight professionally anymore. The warden is also scared because he thinks that strong prisoners will not help them do this. The chief says that he has prepared 3 special soldiers. They are known as a perfect trio when they fight together. Their coordination is like the teeth, lips, tongue of our body. The trio is taken to the prison, and they ask Michael out to talk. When they see Michael, they think that he is only 3.2 times stronger than the average person who didn't train. And nothing is scary. The trio moves to 3 corners and begins to attack Michael. He chases after one of them, but that consumes his stamina even more, and he is attacked by those guys continuously. Michael knows that he is no match for the trio, so he runs into the corner to avoid being attacked from behind, as well as to narrow the range of their attack. But when Michael takes a stance, the 3 also use boxing to fight him, making Michael begin to feel afraid. Then they attack Michael at the same time and punch him badly. No matter how fast he is, he can only dodge 1 punch, but he can't dodge 3 at a time. Then one of them holds Michael, and the remaining 2 start beating him so hard that Michael passes out. At this point, they have almost completed the task, and the last thing is to cut the tendons in his arm so that he can never return to the ring again. But at that moment, a dart flies over them, and Jun rolls out from within a dark route. He looks up at the sky and remembers his pirate days. His aura makes the trio feel scared, but they still don't give up and start forming a formation to prepare to fight Jun. When one of them rushes in with a punch, Jun urinates on him and at the same time draws a circle around himself. Then he lay down to continue looking at the beautiful sky today. Seeing that, the trio frantically kicks Jun in the face until he can't say anything more. They think Mr. Second is just like that. But suddenly, Jun gets up along with the passing wind, which stimulates Jun's fighting inspiration. He uses the soil to paint on his symbol and then flexes his muscles to prepare for the fight. At this time, the trio encourages each other that Mr. Second is alone. So they proceed to form a formation that is the invincible one. 1 guy above, 2 guys below, and surround Jun like a real prison. But Jun is not afraid of that. When the 2 guys below rush to attack, he involuntarily turns around and punches one of the guys that flies to the place of the guy above, then falls to the ground, causing the other guy to immediately run away in fear. And the guy above is also afraid and slides down. Fortunately for him, Jun is in a good mood today and forgives the trio. At this point, Michael goes to thank Jun for the help. Jun smiles and says that we are roommates and helping each other is only natural. After returning to his room, Michael still thanks him again, while Baki wants to talk to Jun again about his challenge. Suddenly outside the door, a look appears. It is Oliva. He breaks the iron door and enters to talk to Mr. After that, the two chatted for a bit, and they seemed to be very similar in their love of fighting, but Oliva fought for his wife, surprising Mr. Second. Baki stands up and says that they have a childish fighting mindset. One man fights for something, another man fights for his wife. The two don't have a single thought of fighting to prove themselves as the strongest. Before he could finish speaking, both of them hit him in the face. At this point, Oliver pulls out the towel he has bought from his wife's hometown to smell it, thinking it resembles his wife's presence. But as soon as Oliver shows his towel, Jun spats on it, causing him to scream angrily and run away to wash it. After hearing the story, Jun learns that Oliver is living with his wife in this prison, and it seems that he is deeply in love with his wife. Right now, Oliver is wearing elegant formal clothes to go see his dear wife. Yes, Oliver is the ideal husband for the girls. On this side, Jun prepares for the next day's match between him and Oliver. He opens his locker and tells his junior to give this pot to him before the battle starts because it has wind and thunder inside. On this side, Oliver is constantly being thrown in the face by his wife for not pleasing her. But Oliver still stands there and grabs the flowers to apologize to his wife. And just hearing a love word from his wife's mouth makes Oliver happy, like winning the lottery. As the duel is about to begin, Jun talks about the pot he is holding. There was a boy who stood all night before the storm raising a pot to catch his ambitions. It contained the courage of the people of the island. The boy then gave it to him, which he greatly appreciated. That morning, all the prisoners gathered to watch the fight between Jun and Oliver. Jun comes out to the cheers of the prisoners while Oliver carries a large bed, and on that bed is his wife, Maria. With this body, the word fat is not enough to describe the excess fat in her body, but that is the wife whom Oliver loves the most. She thinks that everyone will laugh at her body. But Oliver, with his prestige, makes the prisoners not dare to talk about his wife. Oliver then performs an escape from his suit, and his suit just stands there. Jun opens that pot with ambitions and storms. He feels himself and is brave enough to start the match. Then the two decide to play a game. Both will grab the ends of a piece of cloth and then start fighting. If anyone lets go of the cloth first, that person loses. Jun also knows that Oliver has tremendous finger strength when he is able to fold coins, crush beer cans, or bend rail nails. The battle begins when Oliver has just grabbed the towel. Jun punches him hard in the chin and then in the face, causing him to lean back. But surprisingly, Oliver still holds the towel firmly while Jun has to use both hands to hold the towel. That makes Oliver extremely satisfied, and she asks sarcastically, "Have you changed the way you hold it?" Olivia laughs and looks down on Jun by holding the towel with his little finger. Jun plucks a strand of his beard and shoots it into Oliver's eye, narrowing Oliver's field of vision. Then he rushes to push Oliver up, but Oliver still lands safely. But now Oliver's hand is holding the towel with 5 fingers. Jun continues to frantically attack Oliver, causing his nose to bleed profusely. But now Oliver says that he doesn't need to hold the towel. Jun looks down and sees that Oliver is just placing the towel on his palm. Jun also puts the towel on his palm and starts solo with Oliver. But when Jun is punching wildly, Oliver gently grabs Jun and pins him to the ground with incredible force. At this time, the wind rises and the two cooperate so that the towel will not be blown away. At that moment, Baki is on the bed with Maria, causing Oliver to get mad and scream. Maria says, "Who are you making jokes for?" She found their match too boring. Jun takes this opportunity to kick Oliver's face hard and smash the eardrum with his hand. He's about to finish Oliveira with a strand of hair, but Oliver grabs his arm and one hit sends Jun flying into the wall. Oliver then thanks Baki because his wife felt better thanks to him. Thinking that the match is over, but it isn't, Jun starts to sing his country's national anthem. And then he gets up and uses soil to draw symbols on his face. Right now, Jun has awakened to his battle state. He gently walks in Oliver's direction and then lunges forward and kicks him away. But Oliver stands up without flinching. Jun continues to punch a hook when Oliver grabs him right in the head and hits him hard on the ground. Right now, the satellites are out of their orbits. That's where the satellite's looking for Yuju. He is riding in an escort vehicle with the president to go to his office. Upon arrival, the president introduces Lesson to Yuju. The president asks Lesson, if Yujiro attacks him, would Lesson be able to protect him? Yuju feels that he is just an experiment that makes him angry and wants to hit the president. Lesson immediately kicks the president outside to protect his safety. But Yujiro is one step faster, jumps out to catch the president, and compliments Lesson's calculation for being reasonable. He wants to meet Lesson's master. Meanwhile, Jun is being knocked to the ground, but he remembers the scene of his people suffering. That prevents him from allowing himself to fall. He has continued to stand up with the slogan, "A beautiful day to die." Jun subconsciously approaches Oliver and Oliver's muscles stiffen. This means their match is about to come to an end. Jun wants to use absolute human skills and not merely the strength of muscles. To do that, he needs a fulcrum. The ground is the most perfect fulcrum for him. Jun wants to use it to fight a muscular body like all of us. In the end, Jun wins in front of everyone's cheers. At this point, the president also comes and kneels to apologize to him for what he had done. Yujiro also comes to congratulate Jun on his victory, a scene where everyone laughs and talks happily. Jun feels that this must be just a dream. Yes, he is dreaming, and Jun at this moment took Oliver's punch, and he lost. Oliva orders everyone to take him carefully to the infirmary because he is a warrior. Oliva then goes in front of Baki saying that the reason he failed was because he didn't trust his muscles. The superior skills also surrendered to sheer strength, and he also says that his own body is struggling to prevent his muscles from escaping, or it would engulf the whole prison. He then pats Baki on his back, sending him flying away. He then takes his wife and goes inside. As he walks, he hums the verse of his victory. The next morning, Jun is nowhere to be found. He left a letter for Oliver and Maria. Inside is his country's money. Jun escapes through a tunnel under the broom closet and gives Oliver the band note, wanting Oliver to visit his country. On this side of the island in South America, Jun returns to his hometown and tells everyone that he went to America to fight Oliva, but failed. Even so, they are still very happy talking to each other like friends, not like the president was talking to civilians at all. The next day, as usual, everyone gathers for roll call, but this time, Baki knocks down the guards and then walks away leisurely. He wants to be Mr. Second to declare war on Oliver. Baki jumps down, dodges the bullets, and quickly escapes through the main door of the cell. But when he gets outside, he is surrounded by the warden chief and his sniper team, but Baki is still confident that he could go out, and the chief is still very confident that Baki couldn't do it. Then the chief tells his men to surround Baki. Suddenly his sunglasses broke, and that is because Baki broke them when he approached him, much to his surprise. Then he shows them the gunman's buttons here. All were taken at their chests, which is the weakest place, which proves that in that time Baki has defeated all the gunmen here. He even confidently says that if the gunmen don't hit his control center now, he can still continue fighting until his heart stops, and at least 2 people will die at his hands. Hearing this, the gunmen feel scared. Now they are the hostages, not Baki anymore. Baki then orders the chief to take him by the shoulder and go out of the gate. When everyone exits the main gate, the game is over. Baki lets them lock his hands to return to the prison. He did it because he wanted to prove himself to be the strongest in prison. At that moment, Oliver is riding a motorcycle for a walk and sees this scene. Oliver gets very angry and goes to confront Baki. The two have an argument that makes Oliver extremely angry, but he still keeps his anger inside. Oliver then lets Baki leave and does nothing, so he is out of the mood to walk around the street and he throws the motorcycle away. The next day, Oliver goes to Baki while his fingers are locked. Oliver brags that the next meal he is about to eat is a meal of hundreds of thousands of calories along with expensive drinks. He then proudly peed on Baki's body, but instead of getting angry, Baki laughs and decries that he is insulting a person whose hands are locked. This means that he is not the strongest. He said while laughing that all of his mood at that time went from relaxed to extremely angry. He comes to the meal and enjoys a bottle of wine worth a few $1,000,000, but he breaks it because Baki irritates him. Meanwhile, Baki only gets a sip of water from the old man. After getting bored with not wanting to eat, Oliver goes to meet the warden chief to discuss Baki's blatant escape this morning as a declaration that he will become the strongest. Oliva comes up with an idea, which is to organize a fighting match and live it out around the world. It is the match between Oliva and Baki. Oliver can release anger and can also sell copyrights to create extremely high profits. As usual, Oliver wears a new suit to visit his wife. But today he is sadder than usual because he remembers how Maria looked the most beautiful in the city when she was young. But since getting sick and taking a lot of medicine, Oliver's body has become like this. Maria says that she is nearing her limit, making him cry a lot. The next day, Oliver continues to go to Baki's place to talk about the upcoming match, but Baki gets up and kicks Oliver in the face, startling him. Before he could finish speaking, Baki continued to kick him in the face. At this moment, Oliver accepts Baki's challenge. Baki rushes in again and gets hit by Oliver, sending him flying to the next room, so no need to wait 2 weeks for the match to start anymore. The match will start now. Baki uses his muscles to squeeze his own arms. That makes the blood vessels unable to carry blood to the blood vessels in the hand. Baki easily shrinks his fingers and pulls them out of the lock. He rushes to punch Oliver in the stomach, but he grabs Baki's arm and drags him to his room, causing the wall on both sides to crumble. Oliver then grabs Baki's leg and arm and swings him around like a towel, throws him up, and pushes him to other rooms. Before Baki could regain consciousness, he was thrown into the door, and another punch from Oliver sent him flying outside and falling to the ground. When Oliver jumps down, Baki rushes to kick him in the leg, but he grabs his leg and ignores Baki's kicks. Oliva strains to hit Baki hard on the ground, causing the concrete there to sink nearly 30 centimeters. Baki is now almost motionless. He feels his body relax from fighting with such power. It is like the day he fought his father. At this moment, the blood of the Hama family gradually increases in his brain, causing Baki's body to melt and merge with the ground. Then, Baki's whole body bounces up high. It wasn't a jump. It was Baki's muscles that pushed his body up. The demon-shaped muscle traces are still there, startling the guards who witnessed them. In front of Oliver is now the awakened Hanma blood. When Oliver is about to charge again, he falls, leaving everyone gaping in shock. When viewed from the camera, they realize that Baki had hit so fast to make Oliver fall to the ground like that. At this point, Oliver gets up and explains that it takes 0.5 seconds for the brain to send signals to the organs about what to do next. Baki had seized that time to take action, leaving him without time to think. Even so, Oliver said that he did not need to take advantage of that, because he has an even stronger weapon. After Oliver waves her hand, Baki is surprised at the scene in front of him, which is Oliver in the form of a muscle ball. Baki lunges forward but is suddenly repelled. That's because Oliver has perfect muscle control. That makes Oliver's muscle sphere invulnerable. Baki immediately realizes that it is a defensive posture because Oliver's muscle mass is so large that it makes a difference. Baki's fist did not hurt Oliver, but on the contrary, Oliver pulls Baki into his body. Then throwing him outside makes Baki seem to pass out. But Baki now lay there and still defiantly said that he had found Oliver's weak point, causing him to furiously attack Baki. He is about to use the muscle ball again. But this time, Baki stuck his hand in Oliver's nose, causing him to painfully knock him away. Even so, his nose was still bleeding all over the floor. At this point, the two begin to challenge each other face to face like two men. Michael comes out and advises Baki to give up the fight because he is not in the same weight class as Oliver. It is a huge difference, but Baki doesn't care about it and still wants to fight Oliver with all his might. The two begin to punch each other, and Maria feels that something is wrong. Baki and Oliver start punching each other, and the vultures are also waiting there. Neither of them yielded to anyone, each punching the other heavily in the face. Now, this is an unthinkable story. Baki is going crazy and pushing Oliver to the corner. He smashes Oliver's head and hits him directly, delivering the final punch that breaks the prison wall. When he returns, Oliver has passed out. When Oliver regained consciousness, Maria went there too. She asks him if he has already lost, but she is not disappointed in her husband. She asks him to carry her home because she is tired. After that day, Oliver announces to everyone that he has lost to Baki and is no longer the strongest here. But he doesn't like that and orders the chief to release Baki today. So, Olivia is still the strongest here. Baki takes a bicycle and some food to go to the airport with an escort plane behind. The story of Baki defeating Oliver reaches Yujiru's ears. Yujiru is now with Captain Streetum visiting the Museum of Prehistoric Beasts. He seems to be paying attention to something and shows an extremely satisfied smile. At the same time, a team digging a tunnel in another place also discovers something extremely scary.